Hi everybody, my name is Shannon and welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. If this is your first time, welcome, come on in. You have found a yarn channel talking about yarn and knitting and crocheting and patterns and what we can create and make with them. And if you are returning, thanks for coming back. You already know that. And you know, this is a great relaxed place to be. It just is. Don't forget, like and subscribe. That's what YouTube says. It's whatever. It's definitely needed, right, to keep the channel going. Anyway, I wanted to talk about more fun things than that, right? You already know to like and subscribe. Let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about the yarn. Well, if this is your first time, then you didn't see this, but if you've been here, you might have seen my friend Susan sent me a large box of yarns, and I got sweater quantities of a couple of them. I mean, I was not expecting this. I was completely blown away. The reason I'm bringing that up is when you get gorgeous, look at that. Isn't that stunning? When you get gorgeous yarn, you immediately decide, okay, what am I going to make with it? You know, it's what pattern, what book, whether it's a free pattern online, if you're going to your own personal library, like me, I've been collecting books for quite some time, or, you know, whatever it happens to be, or actually go to the real library. By golly, you can, that's definitely an option. You know, looking for something that you can do that inspires you with your yarn. So this right here is Silky Wool, and it is by Elsebeth Lavold, and she has pattern support. Nice. So the yarn is 45% wool, 35% silk, 20% nylon, 50 grams, 175 meters. Recommended US size 6, 4 millimeter, hand wash, lay fat to dry. Don't iron, or I don't know, whatever, and don't bleach. Yeah, don't bleach it. Why would you bleach your yarn? Anyway, I have, I think 9 or 10 of these. I don't remember. There's 2 colors in this bag. Look at this. Look at that bag. I've got the red right here, and then this nice pink that's right here. I mean, it is stunning. So I went rummaging through my books. And if you've been around for a while, you've seen I've started to do something that I've, you know, adorably called, whatever you want to call it, Time Warp Tuesday, where I'm kind of going through some of my older books and saying, what are some of these treasures that I've got lying around that, you know, need to see the light of day again? And today's episode was spurred on 100% because I received this yarn. And it makes total sense. Look at this. Yeah, that's the same lady, right? Look at that. This right here is Designer's Choice Book 1, the Viking Knits Collection. This was a 2003 print. See that? It's like brand new. Man, I need to pull that out and break those binders. I'm actually very gentle in my books. I don't like to destroy my books. But I'm just saying, use it. This book is amazing. And I did check right before recording. You can get some paperback used copies of this on Amazon for less than $15, right? I don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, it's not, they're used. So whoever has it that's trying to sell it, right? And there we go. And let's look at some of the patterns, but that's not the only one. I'm excited. There's another one. This is, oh yeah, I like, you notice the Viking theme? Look at this. So this is the Viking Knits Collection. She's a Swedish designer, and these are, you know, on some of the ruins. And then this one is Viking Patterns for Knitting. Look at that. Look at those cables. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. And you've got some nice designs, and I'll go ahead and open up the book. I love that coat. And this one, yeah, I looked at this one too. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get a Kindle version of this for free on Kindle Unlimited. I'm not advertising for them. I'm just letting you know. You can still get the hardback book, and you can buy the Kindle version too. I think it's less than $5. I think that's what it was. If you're interested. But this is a 2000. Yes, 2000. Yes, I bought it. Okay, I have a library of my very own, you know, in all my knitting books that I have collected over the years. So I'm excited about this. This book right here is all Silky Wool. That's what every pattern in here is. Wow. I mean, how often do you have a match between pattern and yarn? You know, I'm not talking about the color, you know, color's definitely a preference, but I mean the actual yarn. I mean, do you do that? You know, I joke about it like ringing a bell or something, because I'm like, hey, I've got this worsted weight yarn and it's gorgeous and I like it and it's hand dyed and I understand that the pattern calls for fingering weight or vice versa. I can do math. Let's figure it out. I normally do things like that, try to shove the yarn that I have into a different pattern. So I don't have, yeah, I've got a lot of yarn. It's crazy, right? But I don't have necessarily the exact yarn that the pattern calls for. So this I find is just wonderful. I like the textural designs and patterns. I'm gonna have to turn that light off so you can see that. Okay, all you're seeing is tweed. You can see a little bit down here. Let me see. I don't know. Ring lights are supposed to help. I've been told that. Yeah, maybe I just don't know how to use it right. That could be it. What I did like about, I think you say her name, Elsebeth. What I do like about her stuff is the cable patterns are, they're close to, you know, your traditional Aran patterns. We'll start from the bottom and go to the top. So the cable patterns on here, she does more like a ruin style, and she's found different ways to close the top of the cables to make it look more like medallions and very specialized. You know, she's got the inspiration like this, and then she'll have the cables that are very much like that. You also have in this book different things on learning techniques. Here we go. Okay, so you can see that's the back. That right there is the back neck of this particular cardigan. So the cardigan looks pretty simplistic, or okay, similar to a lot of cardigans that we've seen over the last couple of decades. Maybe she was the first, doubt it, right? Who's actually new at doing anything nowadays anyway? But you've got that unique cable going down the front to add that interest and design work, and I just think that is wonderful. The patterns are charted out like that, and it does give you the instructions on, you know, how to do your crossings and your cables. And a lot of this stuff is like right here, adding that ease. So getting that little bit of extra hip flare, and you have that cable right there in the center on a background of purl stitches, and then the rest of the pattern is done in stockinette. And that purl beside the cable helps the cable to pop, and just to showing that. And it's just, but you saw that closed off cable. You don't see those in your Aran knits so much. I remember when I got this book, I was very smitten with this pattern. Let me see if I can get that ring light out of the way. There we go. And you can see you've just got those right here panels of the cable. And you can see what I'm talking about with that closed off at the top. It just stops. And very unique, very fun way of doing things. Very simple designs. So it's not cabled everywhere. It's not like a heavy Aran cable, but it is on the accent points. A lot of the stuff is here on the cuff, just a little bit. A little medallion right here at the very center, or at the hips, or something along that line, just adding a little bit of flair. Very, very nice. Nicely done, unique stuff. And when it first came out, I hadn't seen anything like that before. And here you can see that's in the very center belly. I don't know if I'd want that in the very center belly, but you can put that cable anywhere you want. But the uniqueness of the closed off cables was a lot of fun. That was just really something amazing. And doing the like a moss stitch or a double moss stitch around your relief pattern really gives a very unique, very classical stated look. It's gorgeous right there. You've got just a little bit of cable right there at the top, and then the cable designs going down just in stripes with just the one motif right here. Very nice, very pleasing, aesthetically designed. So I like that. And then if you wanted to practice and play, I love it when they put a hat in. I really, really do. The hat right there is spectacular because you can work on a smaller scale, learning different techniques. There are a lot of techniques in here. that might stretch your knitting prowess. They really might. You may be a fantastic expert knitter, etc., and done cables and lace and all sorts of other fancy things, but if you haven't done the closed cables like are discussed in here, it's new technique, so it's a new challenge, and that's kind of exciting. That is really neat. And we know I'm looking at making another sweater for my husband. This one right here, and they have the female version too. So they got the male and they've got the female version. That one right there, I think is so nice. Just that simple up and down. You've got little bits of cable, but not all over. So for making it, it's not going to be probably as stressful. It's one of those, a lot of bang for your buck. You don't have a lot of the cable crossings, but the ones that you do have a lot of impact. But any one of these patterns, and see, female version one I just said, but any one of these patterns, I have the yarn for that Susan just sent me. Look at that. I could make one. I mean, in this gorgeous, gorgeous pink. That is so pretty. And I have enough. That's exciting. So it was really cool to just pull said book out and work on that again. And there's also hats and mittens in this book. So this one you can still get, I'll link it down below if you're interested. But you can still get it if you wanted to, buying a used copy. This one, like I said, this one you can get if you've got Kindle Unlimited. You can go ahead and download it right now. If you wanted to pay for it, it's less than $5 on Kindle, or you can get the hardback book for 20 some dollars. Don't remember the exact price, but yeah, it's Amazon. It goes up and down daily anyway, right? But this one right here, 2019, or 2000, 23 years ago, almost 24 years ago. Holy cow. So there's a lot of archaeological information in here. So if that's your thing, learning about the knitting, the patterns, where they came from, and having story behind it, this is the book. I'm telling you, this is the book. So you've got, I think it's like 14, 15 designs, something like that in there. But then you also have a lot of history on the archaeological side and some pictures on that and the inspiration from the ruins. And what I like about this one in particular, here you've got the instructions on how to do those closed cables. Well, that's just a stitch dictionary. I have multiple stitch dictionaries on both knitting and crocheting for that matter. But you know, different, some of them are lace. One of my favorite ones is the Japanese lace knitting, because Japanese lace knitting is different than what we normally do here. What I'd really like to get is a Russian crochet, because the Russians have a different version, a different way of doing crochet. Oh my gosh, I have seen some gorgeous patterns. That's one of the collection that I would love to get my hands on. But this right here, you have so many things, not just the patterns for the sweaters, the patterns for the hats, the patterns for the designs. You have like a miniature stitch dictionary on how to do some of these closed cable designs, how to do the unique way of doing the cable crossings. I mean, look at this. Again, you have a complete closed off right there. You know, here's two of them. This is a longer strip, you know, different things like that. And then you've got all the wording, you know, the archaeological information besides the cables. And that is fantastic. This to me looks very much like wrought iron. This one uses a variety of different yarns. It's not all the silky wool, so it is different yarns, different weights, things along that line. So it's not a specific yarn for this particular pattern book. It's just made by the same author. And you know me and my oranges, go figure, right? Look at that. Isn't that stunning? I mean, that right there is just such a wonderful classic look. That is beautiful. And you can see what I'm talking about, where you do have the cables, you do have those designs, but there's not so much of it that you have to concentrate constantly. Parts of it would be very intuitive. You know, you can read your knitting and then you have to get the book and everything and look at, wait a minute, how am I doing my crossings? What am I doing? Do I have any special techniques? So not all of them are super difficult. There's not the excessive, or not excessive, there's not, the sizes don't go up to, you know, the double and triple extra large and things like that. The book was printed and 2000. So as far as the size inclusivity, it's not as high with that. But if you are somebody that can take the design elements and put it into your own design, it's so worth it. I would definitely recommend grabbing that copy of the, if you have Kindle Unlimited, grabbing a copy of that free copy and looking at these. Just look at the way that they're doing the cables, the crossings and stuff, and that unique look. So you can make your own whatever, sweater, hat, etc., and add that to it. You know, you don't have to make any of the particular designs in here. Use it as a reference. Use it as something like, I want to make a different design. I want to do something else. I love this, how they're showing how you can do cables like that. Because before this, I had not seen that type of cable designing and everything. And those I thought were so unique. I mean, you might see a little bit more now because, again, this book is over 20 years old. But I hadn't seen them. And you've got pictures like this as part of the inspiration for where the cables come from. I mean, isn't it neat? Just aesthetically pleasing. The whole book has some things in there that really gets your mind moving. And how do I do different crosses, right? Not religious crosses, but crossings for the cables. And how do you make your knitting move? That's the one thing for me that got me into knitting, because I started off crocheting when I was 10 years old, and I crocheted. That's what I did. I just crocheted. Now I do both. But what got me into doing the knitting was the movement of the cables. A heavily Aran cable sweater is the thing that got me into, I want to learn how to knit. And that's why this book excites me in the way that it does, because you've got some unique ways of those cables moving. And I love that design, that undulating design, everything that cables can do. And man, you give me a heavily cabled Aran sweater, you know, those are just gorgeous. I mean, look at this. Look at how cabled that is. Now that's going to take some time. And I love the hemline. That's going to take a little bit of time. It'd be worth it. I mean, it would be stunning, right? But it's going to take a little bit. It just depends on, you know, for me personally, I'm going to knit and I'm going to crochet and I'm going to keep knitting and I'm going to keep crocheting. So it really doesn't matter. I know that sounds funny, but it really doesn't. I'm going to keep doing it anyway. Whether something takes me a day, a week, a month, it doesn't matter. I'm going to still work on it. It's just how I am. Look at that. I love the color and just the way that they've got the cables in there and that design, and just going up to the crew neck. I like the crew neck, but you can do a boat neck. You can do any type of style. Change it up and make it your own. Use those designs to put forth on something else. Again, I highly recommend downloading that. Look at those. Have you seen cables like that before? I mean, that is a new technique. Or, you know, that's going to be a little bit more to learn, to finesse with. I would recommend making a hat, making, put one of those cables and everything. If you're doing fingerless mitts, put the cable right here, finding one of those and just putting it right here. So you're doing something on a small scale. And I mean, you can swatch, by all means, you can swatch, but why not make your swatch worth something? Why not make it usable that you can gift? So if you do something like that and you're taking one of these cables as an element and you put it right here on your fingerless mitts, or full mittens for that matter, you've got a gift. You've learned a new skill. And if you love it, continue, make something else. If you don't, that's okay. You finish something amazing, you know, and that'll be yours, because if, you know, if it's tedious, by golly, it's yours. You're not going to give it away. You're going to keep that one. But yeah, do something like that. Put it on a hat. Love to do that. Hats are blank canvases meant to be painted on, right? That is all they are. They're just big swatches. They're what you use to work through the design phase in your mind. And you have something that you see up here and you're trying to put it into practice with the yarn. And sometimes they work out amazingly and sometimes not so much. That's okay. It's okay. You know, that's what we do. We're crafters. We create. That's part of it. This is what I was talking about by the archaeological information. You know, you've got information going on about the pieces like that. So it's an interesting, fun read if that floats your boat, right? I mean, you know, if you're just wanting the patterns, there's still lots of nice patterns in here. Skip over that stuff. But I like the inspiration. I like where they're coming from on that. They've got men's and women's, so that's nice too. So it's not just the women getting all the love. And again, there's one of those hats. I like it when they throw hats in there. You know, play with the hat. That's just the way to do it. And the socks, that's like a worsted weight with the socks. And then you saw this one on the back cover. Oh my gosh. It's a nice tweed yarn right there. I mean, how gorgeous and stunning is that? You've got the detachable hood if you wanted that, the coat, the bag, completely and totally decked out. I don't know. I think that is stunning. I want to make a coat. I really do. I want to make a long coat. I've made a coat before. I have. I'll have to bring that out. I'll have to bring that and show that. I have made a coat, but I like to make another one, you know, like a big long duster type thing, knitted coat. Haven't done that in a while. This one's unique. I think the hat would be fun. I don't think it'd be something I would wear, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. But that sweater is nice. And then the placard being folded over like that. I just did a sweater for my husband like that, but it didn't have all the cables for the placard. It was just ribbing. But that I think is nice. Very nice touch, very soothing, very comforting. But it's a lot of fun to see things like this. And then you can get the guys involved, right? You got the father and son right there with the patterns. So, and take any portion of the cables and put it in. And if this right here, if the book itself doesn't have your size or your design, if you have a favorite sweater, use that and then insert the cable. There are definitely some that I have thoroughly enjoyed working with online. If you've watched before, you know that Tin Can Knits does a wonderful series, what she calls her Simple series. I think that's what she calls it. And it is so detailed and amazing. She puts together patterns that go from like extra tiny to multiple XL. So you've got it from all the way making for your child and making for yourself and your husband, your kid, you know, just all the way up the line. And it's very detailed. It's very explained, simple stitches, simple patterns, but it's like a blank canvas. A lot of her patterns are like a blank canvas, and I've made multiple of them, and I've really enjoyed them. I like the fit. I like the wearability. And if you find a pattern that you're comfortable with like that, make that, but then add in something. Add in cables along the sleeves. Add in, like this has the big cable right here. Put a cable right there. Put a lace design somewhere. Do something that you're taking that provided for you blank canvas that you already know works. You've already got all your numbers there for your size. And whatever size it is, you've got that information, and just really ramp it up either with color, let the yarn do the talking with the color, or add an extra stitch somewhere, you know, not a literal stitch, but I mean, add an extra element to it, you know, just something that's like, oh yeah, I did this. Hey, one of her sweaters is called Flax, and I have made that a couple of times, and it's a very easy stockinette, simple sweater. And then she has down here, like garter all the way down, you know, the garter ridge down both sleeves all the way up on the shoulder. Okay. Well, once you've done that, you realize you've got the stitch count in between here. You can do anything you want with it. You can add one of these cables. You can add a different type of a lace. You can do whatever. You've already seen it in practice. And that's what I love about like this book and these types of things, because even if I don't like the entire sweater, you know, if I don't like everything involved with here and I only like certain elements, that's all right. I can take those elements and pull them out and put them into something that I know I absolutely love. And that is the best part of the designing process. Getting this working, getting what's in here out on the paper, into the yarn, into the needles, into the hooks, and making things and adding your own flair, taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that and adding them all together and coming up with something amazing and gorgeous and stunning that's unique to just you. Take the parts that call to you and use them. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So who knew Susan sending me this yarn would just spur all of this on to grabbing these books and getting that in my head again and going around and going, yes, I want to make something else. I want to just drop my book. I want to work on some of these patterns. I mean, look at that. You can see what I was talking about, the closed design. I want to add something like that into my own things. If you like her stuff, she has a lot of books. A lot of books. Definitely look up her name. I'll link these two below, but look up her name. Ravelry has lots of patterns. Obviously, you can get things on Amazon. You can get things in other places, but as long as you know the name, you know what to look for. And then she does have her own yarn line. The Silky Wool is not the only yarn that she has. There's quite a few other yarns. This one's still available. Some are discontinued, but you can still get them in people's stashes. We know how that works. And there's yarn collectors. But it's a lot of fun. It's wonderful to see all the creative process and the colors and everything else. So I'm having a blast. I'm going to go ahead and pour over my book some more and remember what I was doing in 2000, right? And what I was doing in 2003 when I collected these books. Holy cow, I've been doing this for a while. I definitely have. I don't know about you, but I have. Let me know down below. How long have you been knitting? How long have you been crocheting? How long have you been playing in the yarny world? All right, everybody. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be. Bye-bye.